With a lot of the new top-end carbon frames, road and sometimes mountain bike, there's internal cable routing. It's one of the most frustrating things to fit. We're going to give you some hints and tips on how to do it today. Unfortunately, it's not an exact science, and even the professional mechanics do it by trial and error and a bit of luck sometimes. But hopefully this video will give you a couple of indications of how to go about it. We're using a Cervelo S2 bike today, which has internal routing for the rear brake and the front and rear mechs. In some instances, you might need to take the cranks and bottom bracket out to give you better access to that lower area of the bike. But in this particular case, it's not necessary because the frame's got an internal shell, so it doesn't make any difference for us. We're going to start with the easiest cable, which is the rear brake. Now, every frame's different, but on this model, there's a plastic insert towards the rear of the top tube, and we can pull that out like so to reveal a bigger hole, and that will make it easier for us to fish out the inner cable.
Make things much easier for yourself with this job if you use new inner cables which aren't bent or frayed at the end. We've already got our outer cables cut to length, so we just need to feed the inner cable through the hole at the front of the top tube and keep feeding it through until you can see the cable through the hole in the frame. If you can't seem to find it, try turning the cable clockwise with your fingers. Once you can see it, use your tool or bent spoke to hook the cable upwards and out through the hole. Then simply feed the cable through the plastic insert, lock that back into the frame, put the last piece of outer cable on, and then fit the cable to the brake caliper. We've got a separate video detailing all these steps. Onto the gear cables now, which are a little more tricky. When you get your frame new, it will have a sticker over these two holes in the top tube, saying FD for front derailleur and RD for rear. Peel the sticker away and put the relevant inner cable through the correct hole. If you're replacing cables, make sure that you remember which hole is which and make sure that you don't lose the inner sheath inside the frame. Feed the inner cable through roughly the length of the down tube. We want the cable to go underneath the bottom bracket shell and out of the hole underneath, so make sure the bike is upright so that gravity helps pull the cable where it should be. This is the part of the job which is as much luck as judgment. Keep filling with the cable at one end until you catch a glimpse of the cable through the end of the hole. This is where a good light will come in useful, and you'll again need to use your little hook. It might take a couple of goes to get it, but eventually you should be able to manage to pull the cable out through the hole. Make sure that you grab it straight away and pull it right the way through. Next, we need to thread it through the cable guide, which is on the underside of the frame, and then up through a separate hole and up the seat tube. This part didn't take us so much time, and the cable came straight out through the hole by the front mech. Then it's just a case of pulling the cable to the front mech and doing the bolt up. Repeat these steps for the rear mech cable and then thread it through the cable guide. On our frame, the last part of the rear mech cable is on the outside of the frame, so we just need to thread it through the last piece of outer cable and then bolt it onto the rear mech. However, your frame may require you to thread the cable down through the chainstay and fish it out towards the end of it.
Well, we've got our frame all cabled up now, and don't worry, it did take us a little bit longer than it seemed to on this video. It is a frustrating job, but eventually, if you persevere, you should get there in the end. There are a couple more tricks, one of which is putting some fishing line down and pulling the cable through, and there's even one where you can block off some of the holes in the frame, put some string down and blow a compressor through until the string comes out the other end. But that's going to be on another video. If you've got any more suggestions of what you'd like us to show in terms of maintenance on the bike, please let us know in the comment section down below. Shimano Ultegra cranks. We firstly needed to undo the two 5mm crank bolts,